Freddie's bringing like 5 or 6 more bottles. Great. How do you need some?
Full award. We're gonna do. Okay, we're gonna push the full award. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we'll just do it at the end. We'll do it before dissent. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it's after which one? The Palmer. Okay. So I can.
Hi, Joel Hellman.
Joel Hellman, the date.
No, Marissa, please. We are happy to help Taco Cabin and excited. Exactly. I know that you're going to be very diplomatic, I'm sure, about the time for everything. No. We're so pleased to be hosting.
Okay. All right. Can everyone, I know this is sort of a grand alumni association meeting, and we're all talking to our friends who we either haven't seen in about 4 hours or maybe 4 years or sometimes longer. But we really do want to get the program started. So yes, thank you for taking your seats. I'm Barbara Bodine, and I have the great honor to be an AFSA lifetime member. And I think I joined when I was in A100. And I also am the director for the Institute for the Study of Diplomacy here at the School of Foreign Service, Georgetown. And we really have the great honor and pleasure of welcoming you and hosting this event. When AFSA, John came to us and asked if we would, because the usual venue was suddenly not available, we were more than pleased to say yes. And so this is a personal welcome, professional welcome, and an institutional welcome. The one thing I do have to do a little bit of business, because this is a public event, is what we call our policy on speech and comportment. Georgetown University is committed to standards of promoting speech and expression that fosters the exchange of ideas and opinions. While audience members may not share some of the views of the speakers, it is expected that everyone at this event will respect the right of the speakers to share their perspectives and ideas, and please do not cause a disruption. And since we are here celebrating constructive dissent, I think that all of you understand and celebrate the diversity of views that I hope we will hear today. With that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Dean Joel Hellman of the School of Foreign Service, my boss, and therefore our host. Joel?
Thank you, Ambassador Bodine, and it is my distinct pleasure and honor indeed to welcome you here to the School of Foreign Service and have the American Foreign Service Association here at the School of Foreign Service. Some of you may not know much about this institution that you hear, although I hope many of you are graduates. I expect many of you are graduates. But the School of Foreign Service, interestingly, was created before the U.S. Foreign Service, the Rogers Act in 1924. You took our name, not the other way around. But it is, we're very happy to lend that name to you, and you have done it great service over the many years. We created the School of Foreign Service around the principle, which is one that has motivated your lives and career, which is the principle of service. That has been core to our mission as a school, service directly into the U.S. Foreign Service, but more importantly, service to the world in any way, shape, or form that our students manage to commit to that. We are very proud indeed to have been and continue to be the largest feeder into the U.S. Foreign Service. This is a source of great pride for us and a mark of what we have been doing here for nearly a century. So it's in that spirit that we are so pleased to welcome you here to award those who have been carrying on that spirit of service in an environment, as Ambassador Bodine very diplomatically put it, has been never more perilous for those who are kind of committed to dispassionate, nonpartisan engagement built on facts, built on a commitment to the truth, and a belief in the American ideal of leadership around the world. That's what you have always stood for, and I know you will always continue to stand for as we move forward. And of course, that's what you are honoring today, individuals who have shown that courage, that leadership, that commitment to service. Individuals like Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, who we were so pleased to have here at our school, working and engaging with our students and giving her truly remarkable career experience and committing and inspiring our students to do the same. And the many others who are going to be awarded here today. So it is with that great spirit that I am only sorry this is the first time we have ever hosted AFSA here. I hope it will be one of many times in which we host AFSA, because it is so much a core of what we are. So thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. Congratulations to all the award winners. And thank you for your service and continued commitment to service around the world in the interest of the United States. Thank you very much. I have one more duty, and that's to introduce the next speaker, your AFSA President, Ambassador Dinkelman.
Thank you very much, Dean. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, students, faculty, and esteemed members of the foreign affairs community, as president of the American Foreign Service Association, I welcome you to AFSA's annual awards ceremony. Your presence is greatly appreciated as we convene to celebrate achievements within the foreign service community. I want to extend a special thanks to Dean Hellman, Ambassador Bodine, and the Institute for the Study of Diplomacy for hosting this year's event, which is usually held at the Department of State. When our request went unanswered earlier this year, Ambassador Bodine graciously stepped right in to offer her support, for which AFSA remains very grateful. Thank you, Ambassador, for your efforts on our behalf. As we gather in celebration, we do so in a moment of profound uncertainty. Since January, the Foreign Service has faced both a thinning of its ranks and the heavy hand of politicization. Both of these forces strike at the core of who we are, a merit-based, nonpartisan workforce devoted to the Constitution of the United States. As we grapple with decisions beyond our control, here is the truth worth holding on to. The Foreign Service is resilient. For more than a century, we have carried out America's foreign policy in places and under conditions that would test anyone's resolve. We have done it with our sleeves rolled up, drawing strength from one another, and bolstered by the oath we swore to the Constitution. The weight of service has never been light. But in the toughest of moments, our Foreign Service family has shown what we are made of: steady, principled, and committed to something greater than ourselves. While there may be anxiety at the moment, there is also a deep love of country that no setback can shake. Today's honorees show us that excellence in diplomacy does not fade in hard times. Rather, it shines all the brighter. And their stories speak not just to individual achievement, but to the very heart of our profession. Before we begin, I am honored to extend a special welcome to this year's recipient of AFSA's Lifetime Contributions to American Diplomacy Award, Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield, and her family and friends who have joined us on this happy day. We are also privileged to have in our midst 3 previous recipients of AFSA's Lifetime Contributions to American Diplomacy Award, namely Ambassador Ron Newman, Ambassador Ann Patterson, and Ambassador Nancy Powell. Your enduring dedication to American diplomacy serves as an inspiration to us all. I'd also like to welcome this year's Foreign Service champions, State Senator Tara Durant, who is en route, and Delegate Paul E. Krizik of the Virginia General Assembly. Thank you to both of them for their commitment to public service and using their platforms to uplift Foreign Service families in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And thank you to our active duty members who have taken time and time off, or furloughed time in some cases, to be here today. Your support of AFSA means more than you know. Finally, I wish to convey AFSA's gratitude to our sponsors, whose generosity has made today's ceremony and reception possible, those being Georgetown University, namely the School of Foreign Service, and the Institute for the Study of Diplomacy, the Nelson B. Delavan Foundation, Clements Worldwide, the Rivkin family, the Bolin family, the Palmer family, and the Global Community Liaison Office of the United States Department of State. Your support underscores your deep commitment to the recognition of excellence within the Foreign Service, for which AFSA remains profoundly grateful. Now with that, let's proceed with today's ceremony. The first award this afternoon is for lifetime contribution to American diplomacy. I am honored to present this award alongside Dean Hellman and Ambassador Bodine, and would invite them to join me on the stage. Since joining the Foreign Service in 1982, Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield has had a long and distinguished career in American diplomacy. Some notable accomplishments of Ambassador Thomas Greenfield's first act as a diplomat include serving as United States Ambassador to Liberia, where she was lovingly known as the People's Ambassador, leading the 70,000-strong workforce of the State Department as Director General of the Foreign Service, and strengthening democracy, economic development, public health, peace, and security across the continent of Africa as the Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of African Affairs. In 2017, Ambassador Thomas Greenfield retired from the Foreign Service and went on to lead the Africa practice at the Albright Stonebridge Group. She was the inaugural Distinguished Fellow, Resident Fellow in African Studies at Georgetown's Institute for the Study of Diplomacy. In 2020, Ambassador Thomas Greenfield again answered the call and returned to public service, leading the State Department's transition team for the Biden administration. She then went on to join the cabinet as the United States Ambassador to the United Nations, while simultaneously serving on the National Security Council between 2021 and 2025. I would note that this isn't just her diplomatic triumph that set Ambassador Thomas Greenfield apart. She is a trailblazer in her own right, overcoming adversity in her journey to the Foreign Service and during her career as a diplomat. These experiences guided her advocacy to find strength through the diversity of the Foreign Service and create a diplomatic corps that reflects America. She takes care of her own as a valued mentor and leads with kindness and compassion. Word on the street also is that she makes one mean pot of jumbo. I'm sorry, gumbo. I said, you guess what part of the country I'm not from, right? Oh, I'm never gonna live that one down, am I? Oh boy. More importantly, she has an acumen for bringing people around the table to foster mutual understanding and respect. Gumbo diplomacy at its finest. And the pronunciation of the word, too. Madam Ambassador, once again, congratulations on and thank you for your remarkable career and achievements. Please join us on the stage to receive your award and to deliver your remarks.
My name is on this?
Madam Ambassador,
Good afternoon, everyone. Ambassador Bodine, Dean Hellman, President Dinkelman, awardees, guests, friends, and family. Let me begin. I want to start by offering my deepest gratitude to the American Foreign Service Association for recognizing me with this prestigious award. And I also want to thank AFSA for its lifetime of service to the State Department and for supporting the Foreign Service. In good times and in bad, AFSA has always had our backs. My special thanks to Georgetown, where many of our best and brightest began their journeys. You've become our home away from home, a place we can always convene as a community, even when the department turns its back on us. I also want to thank all of my many colleagues and friends who are here to support and celebrate with me and the other awardees today. I'm truly honored and deeply grateful. My family is also here. My siblings from Louisiana, who still welcome me with massive gumbo cook-offs and barbecues despite my living abroad for most of my adult life. Perhaps the biggest thank you is to my immediate family, Lafayette, Lindsay, and Deuce. You've always been there when I needed you most. My daughter Lindsay happily traveled alone with her dad at 8 months old to Lagos, Nigeria, while I stayed behind to finish training. My son Deuce took his first plane ride at 6 weeks old to Banjul, the Gambia, where he spoke his first words in Wolof. My children have also given me the greatest gift of all with their spouses, my 3 adorable grandchildren, Lydia, Luca, and Lola. Did you notice we're all L's? My final thank you is to my husband, Lafayette, who joined the State Department before I did and also has a lifetime of service of his own. We met many decades ago in Monrovia, Liberia, and he has been by my side ever since. And I simply would not have been able to do this without his love and support, and I dedicate this award to you. Colleagues and friends, while I'm honored to receive this award, it is bittersweet. I will admit that I am deeply saddened that we were not allowed to use the Ben Franklin Room for this ceremony, the very place where I and so many of you were sworn in to the Foreign Service. All said, the department and its employees will always be in my heart. Over 40 years ago in 1982, I started my career as a consular officer in Kingston, Jamaica. At that point, I never could have imagined that I would go on to serve as President Biden's ambassador to the United Nations, or in his words, America's voice to the world. My life story gave me no hint of this. I grew up in the segregated rural South, the oldest of 8 to hardworking but poor parents. And as one of my brothers liked to say, we were so poor we only had one O in poor, but yet, despite the odds and the unlikeliness of it, I've had the opportunity to represent our nation, our culture, and our values to the world. Over the course of my career, I have worked for 6 presidents, both Republican and Democrats, as Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Ambassador to Liberia and the United Nations, and very proudly, I might add, Director General of the Foreign Service and Director of Personnel to a predecessor and a successor are here in the room. Along the way, I've been surrounded by extraordinary colleagues, people who, like me, were driven by shared commitment to improve lives and to make a difference, one act of kindness, one cable at a time. My journey has taken me around the world, from presidential offices to remote refugee camps to war zones. Every person I've met in every role left an indelible mark on me, just as I hope, in some small way, I was able to leave a mark on them. 4 decades of negotiations and advocacy, problem solving and collaboration have taught me some key lessons, and I'd like to share 5 of them with you today. First, when I joined the State Department, I thought I could change the world, and I know all of you thought the same thing. Over time, I learned that no one can change the world alone. It takes a village. But each of us has the power to change lives, one conversation, one act of kindness, one step at a time. I came to understand this truth most clearly through my work in refugee camps, where I engaged with people who were living in dire and devastating circumstances. Not long ago, I was walking down the streets of Arlington, and a young Sudanese man who I didn't recognize stopped me to say that I was the person who made it possible for him to leave Kakuma refugee camp in northern Kenya and to begin a new life in the United States. I think about the transformative impact this work had on his life and many others, and how the United States has benefited from their contributions to this nation. Second, I learned not to take myself too seriously. People may not think you're as talented as you think you are. But through your hard work and your dedication to values, you might just prove that you are. So take your work seriously, not yourselves. Third, mentor, mentor, mentor. When you make it up the ladder of success, give a hand to someone else striving to be where you are today. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. And one I will never forget is Ambassador Ed Perkins, who in 1985 brought me under his mentorship after being his control officer in Nigeria. This led me to an assignment as his staff assistant in the Office of the Director General, where I would years later follow in his footsteps and serve as the Director General. His mentorship and his guidance not only laid the foundation of my career, but helped me realize my own potential. Ambassador Perkins and I had 3 of the same positions: Director General, Ambassador to Liberia, and ultimately both of us served as Ambassador to the United Nations. Fourth, and you've heard this said, be kind, be compassionate, be good to people. As the wise Maya Angelou pointedly said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you make them feel. Being kind to others has become the secret sauce to my gumbo diplomacy, and I have learned that treating people well matters. It is what will outlive the work you do. Finally, and most importantly, diplomacy matters. Wars, threats, and violence are never the answer. Dialogue, deliberation, and discussion are. We don't always have to agree, and we don't always succeed, but we cannot stop trying. We cannot give up, and we cannot quit. It is precisely through our diplomatic efforts that American leadership matters, shaping a world that respects human rights, celebrates diversity, and commits to the principles of multilateralism. Behind all these efforts are our diplomats. It's those of you who are here in this room. It is not only the giants of diplomacy like John Foster Dulles and Ralph Bunche and Ed Perkins, Madeleine Albright, Condoleezza Rice, and Hillary Clinton, and of course my classmate Bill Burns. There are so many others whose vision and commitment to peaceful diplomacy have shaped the world and American leadership. But also the thousands of colleagues from the State Department and USAID who tirelessly devote their lives day in and day out, at home and abroad, to the practice of American diplomacy. This includes the many colleagues I served with and learned from that are no longer with the department because of reckless and cruel reductions in force and today's government shutdown. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the many who gave their lives for our country while serving abroad or as local staff in consulates, embassies, and missions. Those in Kenya and Tanzania, many of my friends after the bombing in 1998. Ambassador Chris Stevens in Libya in 2012, as well as so many others. Those lives represented in memorials at the State Department, the CIA, and formerly at the USAID headquarters will never, ever be forgotten. Colleagues, we all swore our allegiance to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Reflecting on that first oath that I took over 40 years ago, and again in 2021 when I was sworn in as ambassador to the United Nations, I'm reminded that I pledged my allegiance to our country, to its values, and not to a person. This is a duty that I will carry throughout my life. This award for me stands as a testament to an eternal truth that diplomacy matters. Every conversation, every negotiation, every act of service carries immense power. So I'd like to close where I started and say thank you. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador, and congratulations once again. Our next award is the Foreign Service Champions Award, which seeks to recognize the accomplishments and achievements of elected officials, military service members, organizations, or private citizens who have made meaningful contributions to America's diplomacy and the United States Foreign Service. Accordingly, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Senator Tara Durant and Delegate Paul E. Krizek, both members of the Virginia General Assembly, as winners of the 2025 AFSA Foreign Service Champions Award. Come up early, so stand here with me.
The Senate's always, I don't know where they're all.
The senator's right
Is
here,
she here?
ready to
Come
come
on
in.
out. There she is. There we go. We can never trust the city.
There you go. If I might ask you, please, if both of you will please stay right here for a moment.
Certainly.
We'll finish.
How are you? Good to see you.
It's a Richmond reunion up here today. Both Senator Durant and Delegate Krizek have shown how effective bipartisan leadership can be as they stood up for the Foreign Service community and demonstrated the positive impact state legislation can have on supporting Foreign Service families. Senator Durant's work on Chapter 783 broadened protections of Foreign Service kids moving to Virginia from other U.S. states and expanded those protections in State Bill 1244 to those making Virginia home following an overseas assignment. Moreover, State Bill 1244 removed barriers to educational continuity many Foreign Service kids face while their parents serve overseas. Her work in supporting the American diplomatic community in Virginia creates a model that should influence the policies of other jurisdictions. I'd now like to invite Senator Durant to accept her award and offer brief remarks. So, if you'd like that. We'll do the picture
All right,
afterwards.
very good. All right, well, good afternoon, evening. We're right about on that cusp, is it? So I'm deeply honored to and humbled to have received this award. Thank you so much. While our community rightfully acknowledges the sacrifice our military personnel serving overseas, the contributions of civil servants in similar roles are often less visible. Yet civil service abroad plays a critical role in strengthening our international relationships, and an increasingly interconnected world is essential for our nation's well-being. As a mom of 3 and part of a military family, my husband just retired a couple years ago, I've seen how complex life can be with relocating, and that experience has absolutely influenced my work, especially when it comes to advocating for families navigating transition and change. In the Virginia General Assembly, we're typically limited to the number of bills that we can carry, and with a short session, it can be difficult to find a patron for legislation that doesn't directly originate from our district. So big kudos to this team who worked so diligently to bring this issue forward and ensure it caught our attention. The first year I carried the first step, I believe it was 2 bills, and we found it more challenging than we anticipated for a myriad of reasons. That's just the way sometimes session could go. But in the end, this team worked closely with mine to ensure its success, and that collaboration really, it made all the difference. I was especially proud to introduce this legislation that affected often overlooked need to support the transition of families returning to Virginia. And for those of you with your kids, I can't imagine, we probably have a little bit of an idea what it's been like to make sure that your kids are get the same opportunity, that fairness. And, I used to have an aide whose father was in the Foreign Service and worked abroad, so we talked about this extensively, and we want to, for any of your kids, whenever they land, we want to make sure they've got the same opportunities, whether it's the governor's school or any of the other special, amazing programs that Virginia has to offer, that they at least give them that fair shot. It's been incredibly rewarding to ease that process and transition and contribute, hopefully in some way, to their successful reintegration to our community. So thank you again so much for this meaningful recognition.
Please, can we take a photo?
Of course.
Please feel free to do this.
Okay.
Let's go over by the flag. Thank you again, Senator. Delegate Krizik, please, is the son of a Foreign Service officer, which has guided his work on behalf of Foreign Service families in Richmond. He is also a longtime supporter of AFSA and a partner in our state advocacy. Delegate Krizik established the 90-day rule for state of Virginia in-state tuition, recognizing the unique circumstances Foreign Service kids face, and increasing their access to higher education. This would become the basis for the Federal Foreign Service Families Act, which became law in 2021 and provided members of the Foreign Service, their spouses, and dependents in-state tuition in the member's state of domicile. Moreover, Delegate Krizik has fought to bring greater parity between Foreign Service and military pensions, recognizing the mutual sacrifice and contributions to our national security of both these groups. I'd now like to invite Delegate Krizik to make his remarks and accept his award. Thank you.
In Richmond, we have 2 parties, the delegates and the senators. That's right. It's good evening, and thank you very much. Thank you, AFSA, and all the ambassadors here. Ambassador, that was a wonderful speech, and very moving and inspiring still to me as getting at the end of my career too, but still hopefully have a few more years. It's a true honor to accept this award, and I do so with deep gratitude. As a son of a Foreign Service officer and a Georgetown graduate, so that's appropriate that we're here. It's a pity he passed away a few years ago. He would be especially, he would really be honored. I mean, he would be so proud of me. And I'm glad that some of my family and his grandsons here, and his granddaughters too. I grew up understanding the sacrifices and challenges and the resilience that define Foreign Service families. And that experience has shaped not only who I am, but also the work that I pursued in the Virginia General Assembly. I also have a great collection of coins from all kinds of countries. I bet everybody does, right? But as you know, Foreign Service families, you guys know this, but it bears repeating. I mean, you guys serve our nation with a real quiet strength. You uproot your lives every few years, often far from home, and yet you remain steadfast in your commitment to represent America's values abroad. As a Virginia legislator, I don't have a role in foreign policy. That's up to the Congress. And people try to keep saying, you should run for Congress. No, I like being a legislator. I love being in the House of Delegates. I don't even want to be in the Senate. But it doesn't mean that on behalf of my constituents, I can't play a small part and help our FSOs and their families who sacrifice so much for all of us. That's why I've worked on legislation, as you heard, to ensure that Foreign Service families are treated with fairness and dignity, from creating the 90-day in-state tuition rule. But let me just tell you, I tried to do that 0 days. That was a compromise that we had to, probably with the Senate, I don't know. So, but it started out, a year, and then we got it down to 90 days. So I figure that's the summertime. But it helps all of the children of Foreign Service officers access our wonderful public higher education in Virginia. We have some of the best universities, no disrespect to Georgetown, but we've got some good ones. To advocating for pension equity, to passing a resolution recognizing the 100 years of diplomatic service. My goal has always been to honor your service by addressing real challenges in your daily lives. And today, with the government shutdown day one, that work feels more urgent now than ever. We are witnessing devastating cuts to the agency that carries out American diplomacy, the State Department, not to mention USAID. But let me be clear, my constituents, and some of them are here today, know that when we weaken diplomacy, we weaken America. At a time of global crisis, growing global crisis, in fact, we cannot afford to retreat. Diplomacy is not a luxury. It's our first line of defense, and you all know that more than anybody. It keeps us strong. Thank you. Keeps us strong, secure, and respected around the world. Diplomacy advances our interests without firing a shot. As my father would say, that's certainly worth investing in. So I'm proud that Virginia has become a leader in supporting the Foreign Service families, hopefully setting an example for the nation. But more than pride, I feel responsibility to continue this work until Foreign Service families receive the same recognition and support we rightly do give to our military families. Both make extraordinary sacrifices for our country, and both deserve our gratitude. I want to thank all of you, my colleagues, the senator, and all of you who've contacted your delegates. It's just like lobbying your congressman. Contact your delegates, let them know next year when session starts in January, we're going to need you to make those phone calls to the Senate, and don't forget the senators. and also thank the Foreign Service community for entrusting me to be your advocate. And most of all, I want to thank my wife and my daughter for their constant love and support, which sustains me in public service. This award is not just a recognition of past accomplishments, but it's a call to keep pushing forward, especially now when diplomacy needs champions more than ever. And I promise you, I will continue to do so. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you again. We will now move on to the awards for exemplary performance, which allow us to honor colleagues whose extraordinary work has led to the betterment of everybody's work environment, success in relationships with host countries, and the advancement of U.S. foreign policy interests. The first award is the Nelson B. Delavan Award for Exemplary Performance by an Office Management Specialist. Unfortunately, Mark Harrop, representing the Nelson B. Delavan Foundation, was unable to join us today to present the award. Before telling you more about the award, however, I wish to recognize the recent passing of Mark's father, Ambassador William Harrop. Ambassador Harrop served as chairman of the American Foreign Service Association from 1972 to 1974 and was awarded the Lifetime Contributions to Diplomacy Award in 2015. For many years, Ambassador Harrop directed a sizable portion of the charitable activities of the Nelson B. Delavan Foundation toward projects strengthening the Foreign Service and AFSA. To the Harrop family, your loss is our loss, for which we are so very sorry. We are grateful for you and your family's continued support of AFSA and the Foreign Service. Now, it is my honor to present the Delavan Award on behalf of Mr. Harrop, and first read his remarks, which he wanted to deliver today. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the 4th year that I have had the pleasure and honor of presenting the Nelson B. Delavan Award for Exemplary Performance to a deserving Foreign Service Office Management Specialist, or OMS, in AFSA State Department parlance. The awardee is selected as well for having made notable contributions to post and to overall morale beyond the scope of his or her position's responsibilities. First, a few words about the Nelson B. Delavan Foundation, named for my maternal grandfather and set up in 1984 by Elizabeth G. Delavan, his widow, and my grandmother. My grandfather was a self-made entrepreneur with mechanical engineering course credits from Cornell University, who began a machine tool business in his upstate New York basement, then moved to Des Moines, Iowa, and worked for the Penn Electric Switch Company in the 1930s. In 1941, he set up the Delavan Manufacturing Company, which made a range of small parts during World War II, while developing for peacetime an oil burner nozzle and acquiring a company making refrigerator replacement parts. Over 3 decades, Delavan Manufacturing Company evolved into a global enterprise specializing in high-precision nozzles for agricultural spraying, equipment, oil burners, and components for jet plane engines. The company was sold in 1971 after my grandfather's death. The Nelson B. Delavan Foundation supports cultural, arts, and regional historic education centers, animal welfare groups, dear to my late mother, Anne Delavan Harrop's heart, and importantly, for this audience, and of course, my late father, Ambassador William C. Harrop, the advancement of U.S. foreign policy and professional diplomacy. Back to today, our judging panel's chosen 2025 OMS recipient is Mina Ross Dana of U.S. Embassy Tokyo, who is recognized not only for going above and beyond expectations in her work executing embassy operations, but also for contributing to the U.S.-Japan alliance and general morale at post. Specifically and notably, Mina executed the complex, numerous responsibilities of both an OMS and a senior OMS, ensuring that the ambassador and other principals were supported and that interagency coordination went smoothly. In addition, Mina performed the duties of a control officer for many VIP visits to the post. A highlight of her work entailed organizing the first Embassy Day for the U.S. Forces Japan Commanders Conference, hosting 35 senior military officials and advisors for policy discussions that strengthened ties between the embassy and military leadership. Mina also supported her staff and community via mentorship and community building exercises, serving on the Employee Welfare Association Board, the Housing Board, and as a founding member of Tokyo Diplomatic Women's Network. Mina, please join me on stage to accept this well-earned award and say a few words.
Thank you so much for that incredibly generous intro and the beautiful nomination package from my OMS colleague, Evelyn Ng, currently serving in NEA. Thank you for this, Evelyn. I want to quickly acknowledge my daughter, Melina, who came down from New York to be here with me today. My uncle, Dohi, who flew in from San Francisco last night and is leaving after the event. My sister, Mona Lisa, who drove me to my OMS interview here 7 years ago. And my brother-in-law, Jay, and niece, Sophia, as well as my niece, Isabella, who I hope joins me in the Foreign Service soon, and I'm kind of using this ceremony to impress her. My mother, Cecilia Cialata Vea Kaufusi Ross, is also here and is the main reason I flew in from Bangkok to accept this award. First, because she read all of the award recipient packages and is incredibly impressed, yet slightly confused to see that her daughter finds herself in such illustrious company. And two, I'm standing here so that she can see the outcome of her becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen after she and my dad immigrated from the island of Tonga, her from Koloa Vava'u, his family from Pelehake and Mu'atongatapu, raising the 5 of us in Nampa, Idaho, and insisting that we were always the hardest working people in the room. That was the standard. So it was no surprise to me that when I informed my mother of being the recipient of the 2025 Nelson B. Delavan Award, her response was, "So you're being recognized for doing your job?" Yeah, I responded. She said, "Well, that was nice of them." And she was right. Recognizing me is recognizing the nearly 800 OMSs in over 270 U.S. diplomatic missions around the world whose support they provide mirror the exact same things that I do, albeit in various degrees, that I'm being recognized for. But it goes without saying that this award also recognizes the work and support I received from Mission Japan colleagues. Colleagues like Jill Dubois, Chris Lay, Kristen Ho, Rob McDonald, Will Herder, Jason Hackworth, Gypsy Zakaria, my Pole Mill counselor Zach Harkenreiter, DCM Ray Green, and Pole MC John Nyland. It also recognizes Masami Tanaka and Nursultan Eldosov, and support from section chief colleagues, Senior RSO Anton Court, Consular Affairs MCs Valerie Chittendam and Karen Lang, LE staff members Yoko Byland and Tyrone Fernandez, FSNI Ayano Takanami-san, and the entire Embassy Tokyo political section, local employed staff. This award also recognizes colleagues who collaborate from other sections and agencies across the mission, like ARSO Shannon Eisenhunt, PD Officer Shannon Dorsey, Econ Officers Eric Hahn and Amy Graydon, and colleagues from Consulates Fukuoka and Osaka, Catherine Raffaniello, Neil Murata, Manny Peralta, and Kenna Goldsmith, as well as agency colleagues USAID Heath Cosgrove, MDOW Captain Babs Jonas, Chris Pretty from the Foreign Commercial Service, and Tracy Boyd from our RAO colleagues. Many of these mentioned who didn't even blink twice when I tore off pieces of a Dollar Tree plastic blue tablecloth, and along with some rubber bands we found, joined me to crawl around in the CMR garden when we needed the lights to be blue and yellow for a NATO photo op 5 minutes before our NATO colleagues walked out. So yes, Mom, this award is in recognition of me doing my job. A job that has my name on this wonderfully generous award, but also recognizing all of the collaboration from mission colleagues who extended every professional courtesy and grace to help me do my job. I want to thank the Nelson B. Delavan family and foundation for sponsoring this award. I want to thank the American Foreign Service Association for this recognition and continuing their tireless work in defending the U.S. Foreign Service. And I would like to dedicate this award to my late father, Amanaki Ross, an immigrant from Tonga who thought this was the greatest country in the world, and he would have been over the moon knowing that his daughter was being recognized doing her job for this country he so loved. Thank you.
Malo aupito, my friend. Now I would like to welcome John Clements, Chairman of Clements Worldwide, to present the M. Juanita Guess Award for Exemplary Performance by a Community Liaison Officer.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And good afternoon. I'm here to present the M. Juanita Guess Award, which is given each year to a community liaison officer coordinator in recognition of their critical role at U.S. diplomatic missions abroad. The award is named after my late mother, M. Juanita Guess, who served in the Foreign Service in the 1940s and was the co-founder and former president of Clements Worldwide. She had a profound admiration for the Foreign Service community, and she deeply instilled that in me. My family has been honored to support this award for many decades. And before we get to the recipient, I'm going to plug Georgetown a little bit. The other co-founder, Robert S. Clements, graduated from Georgetown, and the current president of Clements Worldwide, Andrew Moss, right here, graduated from Georgetown. Just had to throw that in. Anyway, this year's recipient of the M. Juanita Guess Award, Gianna Leonard. I met her. She's just such a sweetheart and such a special, special person. As the CLO in U.S. Embassy Dhaka, she provided tremendous support to the embassy community during unprecedented challenges created by blackouts and political unrest. Her work organizing essential supplies for the embassy community during the shelter-in-place order, in reactivating and redesigning the warden system so it would operate without the internet. This comforted a lot of people in the middle of a lot of chaos. Once the embassy authorized order departure due to increases in violence, she made sure that all embassy employees had what they needed to evacuate. Until they could return, she also worked with the schools to ensure high-ended remote learning for our Foreign Service kids. Once the community was able to return to Dhaka, Gianna was central in bringing the community back together for events that fostered a sense of unity in these tough security-restricted times. I am pleased to welcome this fabulous young lady to the stage.
Oh, wow. Is this real? I had to write my speech because we just PCS here, and our printer is still in a boat somewhere, so if I can read it. Thank you so much, John, and Worldwide, Clements Worldwide, and AFSA. I'm deeply honored being recognized in this way. It means so much. Not only me, but to the incredible community I had the privilege to serve. The truth is, this award is not mine alone. My work as a CLO was only possible because the unwavering support, kindness, and collaboration of so many people in Embassy Dhaka. From the Emergency Action Committee members and our dedicated residential wardens to colleagues across every section of the embassy, They all played an important part. None of this would have been possible without their collaboration and dedication. I also want to extend a special thank you to the GCLO team for their guidance and support. I really appreciate your help, especially for someone like me who's very new to the Foreign Service. And to my husband, Ian, and my daughter, Mia, you have been my constant source of love, encouragement, and patience. Thank you for understanding the busy days and being there with a smile and a hug when I need it the most. Thank you again for this honor, and I'm truly grateful to have served as a CLO at Embassy Dhaka. And I will carry this as a reminder of the importance of service, teamwork, and community. Thank you.
Thank you again, and congratulations. I now have the pleasure of honoring the recipient of the Award for Achievement and Contributions to the Association, which recognizes an active duty or retired AFSA member who has made significant non-monetary contribution to the association. Vivian S. Walker has served on the editorial board of the Foreign Service Journal for 6 years, 2 of them as board chair. Through this role, Dr. Walker has been instrumental in elevating the journal across the globe as the preeminent voice of the Foreign Service. Her leadership has aided the journal in amplifying the challenges, triumphs, and opportunities of AFSA and the Foreign Service. Sharing our stories is critical in these unprecedented times. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Walker to the stage to accept her reward and offer remarks.
While I'm deeply grateful to be recognized for my service to the association through my work on the Foreign Service Journal, I would like to take this opportunity to honor the vision, courage, and tenacity of AFSA's dedicated leaders and members. At a profoundly existential moment for the future of the American Foreign Service, AFSA has risen to the challenge, advocating fiercely on behalf of the profession and all those individuals and families who serve. This means a great deal to me as a retired FSO, as the spouse of an active duty Foreign Service officer, and as a teacher preparing the next generation of diplomats and foreign policy professionals right here at Georgetown in the School of Foreign Service. I would also like to acknowledge the members of the Foreign Service Journal's outstanding editorial team led by Sean Dorman. They are responsible for the journal's status as the preeminent voice and, I would say, conscience of the Foreign Service. The responsibility to speak truth to power, to be heard but also to listen, to be passionate but not self-righteous. These are some of the journal's foundational principles. It has been my honor to uphold them. Thank you.
There's the journal making AFSA walk the walk, right? Congratulations again, Vivian. Our next award honors a key group of AFSA staff who have been instrumental in leading the organization amid a turbulent start to the new administration. Recognized as AFSA's crisis response team, these members worked late into the night and on weekends, communicating with members, advocating on behalf of the Foreign Service on Capitol Hill, getting our stories to the media, and working decisively to protect AFSA and the Foreign Service. Please welcome to the stage Sharon Papp, General Counsel, Rekha Safai, Deputy General Counsel, Kim Sullivan, Director of Congressional Advocacy. People should be moving down here, folks. Christine Mealy, Director of Membership and Programs, Nikki Gamer, Director of Communications and Outreach, Nadia Rujica, Deputy Director of Communications and Outreach, Aaron Oliver, former Communications and Marketing Manager, and Jahari Frazier, Executive Assistant to the President.
All right. So as Mina's mom would have said, we are getting an award literally for doing our job. But I want to just take you back in the way back machine for a second to February of 2025. Yeah, I hear some acknowledgement of what that was like. USAID abruptly dismantled. A tweet declared, "We spent the weekend feeding USAID into the wood chipper." Political leaders called many of our members criminals. And if I seem mad, it is because I am, because I'm an American. Many of you are active duty, were facing an ambiguous buyout, an executive order after executive order that disrupted the vital work that you all do on behalf of your respective agencies and this foreign service that you've devoted your lives to. And our members from Bogota to Bangkok were scared, angry, not getting any information from their agencies, and they were looking for answers. And it is in this environment that this insanely talented team behind me went to work. Every single person on this stage, and please come closer, please come closer. So when each executive order was released, you had Sharon and Rika, our lawyers, who were dissecting these executive orders and trying to figure out what the heck they meant for our members. We had Christine Mealy, who triaged just a tsunami of member questions and concerns and tried to get answers with so much concern. And Christine is a crier, and there were many tears. We had Aaron Oliver, who made sure you got all the information that you needed into your inboxes, and Kim Sullivan, who knows Congress like you wouldn't even believe. She just knows Congress with surgical precision. She handled our outreach to Congress. Nadia and I were on social media. We were handling the media requests from New York Times, from CNN to 60 Minutes, and then Jahari, who just was keeping us all on track. Jahari was keeping us on track. And then you do not see here Asgeir Sigvason, who is our executive director and our institutional memory, Tom Yazgirdi, who our then president, provided outstanding leadership, and then Randy and our board, AFSA board. They should all be on this stage. And Randy Chester and all our USAID folks know Randy Chester. Randy reminds me that heroes still do exist in this world. Randy Chester, who went on to 60 Minutes to tell the story and on every other media outlet, and he said, you know what? Come at me. I'm ready to tell this story. I'm ready to talk about what is really going on. And now we have John Dinkelman, who is leading us into this next chapter. We don't know what's going to happen. And all of us, we're trying to navigate AFSA through the most tumultuous moment of this organization's 100-year history. And the threat continues. Just look at where we are today, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We're in a shutdown. But I want to say to all of you, to our USAID colleagues, thank you for doing your work. Thank you for all that you do for this country and for the American people. You are why that we show up and why we work for AFSA. And thank you for your service and for standing with AFSA in this moment. So thank you all.
Thank you, Nikki. The next award is the Avis Bolin Award for an eligible family member. Unfortunately, Ambassador Avis Bolin could not join us today to present this award. Ambassador Pamela Harriman established this award in honor of Ambassador Bolin's mother, also Avis Bolin, who was married to a Foreign Service officer. The purpose of the award was to honor the spouses, which in those days meant wives, of Foreign Service officers, who Ambassador Harriman rightly considered to be the unsung foot soldiers at our embassies abroad. Thankfully, expectations of Foreign Service spouses have long since evolved. However, the contributions and service of family members who accompany loved ones overseas continues uninterrupted. The Avis Bolin Award recognizes family members who have made a significant and meaningful impact on not only the U.S. mission community, but especially the adopted community of their host country. This year's recipient is Jane Thompson, who, using her training as a special education teacher, aided schools and nonprofits in Nepal, serving those with special needs, migrant children, and other children from marginalized communities. Twice weekly, Jane volunteered with the AFSA school, spending one day teaching and the other helping staff identify children who needed additional support and training them accordingly. Through a grant she received from the J. Kirby Simon Foreign Service Trust, Jane established a library at the AFSA school, hired a librarian, and collected books for students. In addition to this important work, Jane participates in other initiatives to engage with the host community in Nepal. Unfortunately, Ms. Thompson could not join us at today's ceremony. However, I am pleased to welcome her daughter, Grace Thompson, and daughter-in-law, Hannah Beerson, to the stage to accept this award on her behalf and provide brief remarks.
Just like to share a few remarks prepared by my mom, Jane Thompson. Thank you to AFSA for this recognition and for your dedicated advocacy to our Foreign Service community. I'm so sorry to not be with you all today, and I'm grateful to my daughter Grace and daughter-in-law Hannah for accepting on my behalf. I also want to recognize and say thank you to Ambassador Bolin, whose leadership and legacy continues to inspire. I'm still in a bit of awe over my receipt of this award, and am so honored and humbled. This award is dedicated to and shared by my beloved community in Kathmandu. In difficulty, they respond with encouragement, support, and humor. The Kathmandu community is a microcosm of what the world can look like when led by generosity, grit, teamwork, and love of mission. Thank you to my husband, Dean, whose choice to serve our country with such dedication has allowed me these amazing opportunities. I love being at your side on this journey. A word about Nadine Templer, who took time I know she did not have to nominate me. Thank you for always leading with your heart. I'm so grateful to have served in Kathmandu with you, and am privileged to call you friend. I also want to do a special shout out to my people, my fellow eligible family members. I've said many times and do believe we had the hardest job in the Foreign Service. We all need to resist putting a just "and" in front of our title EFM. Our contributions are many. There are heroes that I have met all over this globe. The vast majority are unsung and unrecognized. They just keep helping the next person in their path. I'd like to share a quote from Saint Mother Teresa that means a lot to me. We can't all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. This very day, there is something we can do that will ease a burden and give hope to another. It is likely that no one will ever see it and notice. This doesn't make it any less important. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the Palmer family, I'd like to welcome Mr. Shiraz Mahiera to the stage to present the next award.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, President Dinkelman. It's my pleasure to present the Mark Palmer Award for the Advancement of Democracy. We established the award in 2015 in honor of my aunt, Sushma Palmer's late husband, Ambassador Mark Palmer, also my uncle. The award is dedicated to his lifelong passion for promoting democracy and human rights. The award recognizes members of the U.S. Foreign Services who embody bold and creative achievement and demonstrate imaginative, determined, and effective means to advance democracy and expand freedom in closed societies. Sounds pretty simple and straightforward, doesn't it? So that's a tall order. This year's Palmer Award is presented to Nora S. Brito, formerly of Embassy Kiev. I hope I said that right. I know there's a couple of different, Kiev. Thank you. Kiev. That was different. That was different. Okay. I will Google that again. A distinguished diplomat chosen from among several outstanding candidates reviewed by our panel. Nora adeptly led multiple efforts to advance democracy, governance, and the rule of law in Ukraine, and delivered tangible results that strengthened Ukraine's democratic institutions. She tackled corruption, supported war crime investigations, and ensured strategic oversight of critical U.S. funding to further U.S. policy objectives. These efforts helped Ukraine continue down a path of stronger, more sustainable democracy. Among her key efforts and accomplishments are the following. Nora and her team established and funded Ukraine's first ever Victim Witness Coordination Center to train prosecutors to adopt a victim-centered approach for investigations to hold Russians accountable for their crimes and their consequences. She worked tirelessly. She worked tirelessly on reforms to advance Ukraine on its path towards EU integration, providing training and equipment for Ukraine's Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, also called the SAPO, enabling them to prosecute more cases, including those of high-ranking officials accused of accepting millions in bribes. Nora drafted a letter on behalf of the G7 and EU ambassadors to promote stronger legislation and succeeded with support from President Zelensky. She coordinated with the White House and interagency partners to condition $1.1 billion in U.S. foreign aid on the successful passage of critical reform legislation. She ensured that U.S. taxpayer funds further advanced our strategic goals. She further reinforced Ukraine's democratic trajectory for building strategic alliances across government, civil society, and international financial institutions, and leveraged those relationships to position Embassy Kiev as a central player in advancing for reforms. She led the embassy's efforts to support Ukraine's OECD accession bid. Thus, Ukraine achieved participant status in the OECD Working Group on bribery and was positioned to attract greater foreign investment and secure long-term economic stability. Recognizing that sustainable democracy in Ukraine required a thriving civil society, Nora developed a program to train a new generation of local leaders and investigative journalists. This initiative empowered a new network of civil society watchdogs, civil leaders, journalists, and academics. Nora, it is my honor to present to you the 2025 Mark Palmer Award for the Advancement of Democracy.
You can go stand on the black mark.
Hi, good evening. I am deeply honored to receive the Mark Palmer Award. This recognition reflects the collective work of many who dedicated themselves to strengthening Ukraine's democracy and criminal justice system, giving Ukraine greater capacity to defend itself, strengthen law enforcement, and fight corruption, while ensuring accountability for US assistance and advancing our national interests. Today, I dedicate this award to our local staff in Ukraine. It's the allergies, I promise. Especially the INL local staff. Their courage, professionalism, and selfless dedication inspire me every day, especially during those days where Kyiv was under attack. Their persistence and quiet heroism made real progress possible. I want to thank my family, especially my parents, Jose and Maria Rosa. Allergies, I promise. Their journey to the United States was a leap of faith, guided by the hope that hard work and sacrifice could make dreams possible. I joined the Foreign Service as my way of giving back to the country that gave them a chance. Every step of this journey has been my way of honoring both where I come from and the country that made it possible. I also have a confession to make. For almost 2 months, I lied to my mother. Only my dad and my brother knew that I was in Kyiv. I told my mom I was in Poland because I didn't want to worry her. So for the kids in the room, never lie to your parents. But after 2 months, I told her, Mom, I'm in Kyiv. And I've also served in Venezuela when we closed the embassy, so she asked me one question. Why? Why do you like conflict? In the audience is also my 1-month nephew, Santiago. And Mom, I can tell you that I do this job because I want Santiago. Oh, sorry. I want Santiago and the next generation to live in a more secure and prosperous world. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is mine.
Thank you, Nora, and congratulations. I will now present the Christian A. Herter Award for Constructive Dissent by a member of the Senior Foreign Service. Carrie Montine served in the United States Foreign Service for 25 years, retiring in April of this year. Following her unexpected removal as a principal officer overseas, she learned of other senior colleagues who had faced similar circumstances. Their stories inspired her to spearhead a diverse State Department working group to draft a white paper on leadership and culture. Despite resistance from senior officials to her proposals and limited avenues for dissent, Carrie remained committed to systematic reforms that would protect and empower all callings. Please welcome Ms. Montine to the stage to accept her reward and provide remarks.
I think it is evening now. I'm so late in the program. So good evening. I'm Carrie. I was almost 25 years in the Foreign Service. I don't want to exaggerate. It was 24 and a half. I decided to retire shortly after the February events. My last day was April 23rd. I think I will always remember that as my last day in the Foreign Service because it was a big decision for me to leave. And I'm sure many of you in the room have faced similar decisions in recent months. And I just want to say, may you all have landed somewhere better for you, whatever that looks like. I want to thank AFSA very much for this recognition, and Moises Mendoza, who is here in the audience, for nominating me. When he first approached me about this nomination, I thought, constructive dissent, that's not what I'm doing. That channel is for foreign policy issues only. But these issues about leadership and culture in the State Department are just as important, if not more so. So I also wanted to thank, I invited several people, I don't know if any of them are here, but you'll know their names. Maura Hardy, Laura Doe, Hugo Rodriguez, Marta Youth, and 2 members of my troika who will remain anonymous for their protection, but they helped me through so much as I first came back from overseas and gave me renewed hope in the institution and the people of the institution. And that is what matters to us. Our mission, our people, that's where we should be focused. Finally, I want to thank my family for their amazing endurance of all of my passionate conversations about leadership. My son Liam is here. My husband Bill, who was a tandem officer with me for 23 years until I went overseas as a principal officer. My parents, who taught me the value of a hard work ethic and always being able to make things better, even if life hands you lemons. So that's all I wanted to say, other than just to say my next chapter is I'm a leadership coach. There are a bunch of us who retired recently from the Foreign Service and do that work. We're all offering free sessions to people who are facing rifts, are transitioning, so look us up on LinkedIn. We're easy to find, and thank you again for the recognition.
Thank you, Carrie. It is now my honor to introduce Ambassador Charles Rifkin, Chairman and CEO of the Motion Picture Association, to present the William R. Rifkin Award for Constructive Dissent by a mid-level Foreign Service officer.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the introduction. It's always a big privilege for me to stand among former colleagues of the department, our finest representatives of America to the world. And the William R. Rifkin Award is named for my father, Ambassador Rifkin, and this event summons memories of his all too brief life, his faith in this nation and its promise, the legacy he left to me and my family and many more. And when my father, after he passed away, my mother met with my godfather, Hubert Humphrey, and they established this award in 1967 after his death at Post. And it was done in that spirit, that faith in America, that belief in the decent people working the hard, unsung, but vital work of development and diplomacy. And at the heart of that work is the ideal of constructive dissent, the notion that forces us to ask ourselves, do we love our country enough to not only serve its interests, but sometimes question its decisions? Do we believe in diplomacy enough to not only advance our policies worldwide, but challenge our policy makers here at home? Do we have enough faith in our democracy to not only uphold its mission in eras of promise, but hold its leaders accountable in moments of turmoil? Answering these questions is rarely easy, but stepping forward when events demand it, acting with initiative, with keen insights, with knowledge, with responsibility, that is the backbone of public service that actually serves the public good. That is the calling embodied by this year's courageous honorees. They saw what was happening at USAID and sounded the alarm on what that would mean for development assistance and our diplomacy, for people's health and security at home and overseas. They saw firsthand how USAID programs safeguard U.S. security and save lives. And they understood better than any of us what could transpire if those programs were to end. And so they made a decision, one frankly fraught with risk, but one that principle called for, to utilize the dissent channel as it was intended, to make their voices heard and their views known at the highest echelons of this department, to spotlight the reality of how decisions made in Washington ripple out to posts a world away. That cable may not have yielded the change that its authors sought, but sometimes that's not the sole purpose of dissent. Sometimes spelling out well-reasoned, fact-based disagreements serves as a marker to speak out against injustice whenever we can, to speak up for what you believe whenever we must, seek accountability for those in positions of public trust, serve with conscience, integrity, determination, and honor. The recipients of this year's William R. Rifkin Award embody that spirit. So please join me in recognizing them now. Eric Burkett, Andrea Capeyan, Andrea Costanzo, Jessica Carlson, Abtin Forgani, Sam Cragle, R. Clark Pearson, Joshua Schramm, Megan Waters, and Heather Wyrick. Thank you all for your commitment to the cause of our country.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for bearing with us. We are the last award, so you'll be out of here very soon. My name is Abtin Forgani. I am a recently RIFT Foreign Service Officer from United States Agency for International Development.
And I'm Jessica Carlson, formerly Jessica Faber, and I'm also a RIFT USAID Foreign Service Officer.
I would like to thank Ambassador Rifkin and the Rifkin family and your father, other Ambassador Rifkin, and thank you for Georgetown for hosting us. Thank you to AFSA President, and the AFSA Board for this award and honor. And I want to send a special shout out to unsung hero of AFSA, USAID Vice President of AFSA for the agency, Randy Chester, who became an unsung hero during these turbulent times. I also just want to briefly thank all our family members, our significant others, and partners. Many of us are tandem couples who took the risk all along with us by doing these descent cable.
We want to thank our fellow authors, a highly dedicated group of USAID contracting and agreement officers, and our diplomatic technology colleague who took great risk to dissent. Dissent is one of the most vital principles innate in our profound responsibility to uphold our oath to the Constitution as Foreign Service officers. The dissent channel is not about disloyalty. It's about loyalty to the values and missions that make the Foreign Service strong. When voices are silent, institutions fail.
The dismantling of USAID will go down as one of the greatest foreign policy catastrophes of this century. Our dissent advising against this illegal and unconstitutional dismantling, laying out the consequences to our national security and our global diplomatic efforts, fell on deaf ears with the leadership. But it must not fall on deaf ears with you. It is a call to action for the rest of the Foreign Service colleagues. Do not remain silent in these times.
Voice your professional opinions. Write your dissent cables. Yes, all of us who wrote and the majority of those who signed the cable were RIFT. But anytime you're no longer willing to stand for your oath for a strong, pluralistic, and inclusive democracy, for rules-based governance, and for fact-driven policy, then that job is no longer worth having. Take it from all of us who are dismissed.
Those of us who serve will be fine. We will forge new paths. We will continue to uphold our oath. But the absence of USAID is already being felt around the world. In fragile states, sliding deeper into crisis, in humanitarian emergencies where American presence once meant hope, in the weakness of democratic institutions abroad, and in thousands of preventable deaths due to mass discontinuation of life-saving assistance.
What has been lost is not just a federal agency. It's a central expression of America's values and its global leadership. Even more important than that is the loss of the United States as a reliable, trusted partner and a great force for democratic, inclusive, and universal human rights and values. We are at the precipice of two worldviews, one where it is democratic, free, inclusive, and striving to be more just, versus one that is autocratic, self-serving, without respect for our institutions, guardrails, and the foundational principles of our country. That view does not square with the America we love and we chose to represent, the one where we were all in despite the many personal and professional hardship this work demands.
We will continue to uphold our oath to the U.S. Constitution and the fight for a more democratic version. Ask yourself, when you look back in this period of time and history, will you wish that you did more? Would you be able to hold your head high? We call upon our colleagues to choose to be on the right side of the history, and in these pages are written in a history book. You want to remember yourself as such. Thank you again to AFSA, President Dinkelman, and the board for this award. Thank you to the Foreign Service family, who have always had our back and help each other in these very difficult times. And with that, we faithfully descend.
Thank you. There is no doubt that the dismantling of USAID has been one of the most troubling developments of this year in the history of the Foreign Service writ large. We thank you for your service. America and the world are indeed weaker without USAID. Before we adjourn, I would like to again thank each award recipient for their examples of excellence. Additionally, I'd like to call your attention to the back of your program book to read the stories of 12 American diplomat rescuers whom AFSA is awarding a posthumous Constructive Dissent Award for their role in aiding Jews and other targeted groups fleeing persecution during the Holocaust. These individuals are Lawrence A. Steinhardt, Revis Childs, Raymond Herman Geist, Leland Harrison, Herschel V. Johnson, Roswell Dunlop McClelland, George Strasser Messerschmitt, Paul Chapin Squire, Miles Standish, Myron Taylor, Pinckney Tuck, and George P. Waller. Please join me in thanking Eric Soll and Visas for Life, the Righteous and Honorable Diplomats Project, for their work in bringing these courageous stories to light. A profile of these diplomat rescuers will be included in the January-February issue of the Foreign Service Journal, alongside the coverage of our other winners and today's ceremony. I would now like to invite Ambassador Barbara Bodine to return to the stage to close today's ceremony.
It didn't take me very long to accept the request to host you all today and to host AFSA and to host my colleagues and my friends, colleagues I've never known, but you're still my colleagues. And I couldn't be more pleased. I said that we were honored and privileged. I am proud. I'm having the same problem that some of you guys are having. This has been a reminder of the difficult times, but this has been a soul-enriching afternoon of remembering again what it means to take the oath to we the people and to meet again and meet for the first time those who took that oath so deeply, deeply, personally, and have served the American people and exemplified the very best of America in what you all have done. the intellectual courage, the physical courage, the ability to serve and think of others, of kindness. I don't do gumbo. These awards recognize who we are and what diplomacy is and why we are so critical to the country, but how important the country is to us. Thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you again for getting to hear the stories of this year's awardees. Thank you again for bringing Linda back to Georgetown. ISD is a little bit of the Hotel California. You know, you don't ever really get to leave. Thank you for everything you all have done. Thank you for who you are. Thank you. And this concludes the 2025 AFSA Awards ceremony. I invite I and the other sponsors, those who are behind all of the awards, thank you, and thank you for what you do. I invite the award winners and their guests, the sponsors, Georgetown faculty, and basically anybody else who's in the auditorium. The list was, I was reading this list is way too long. I invite you all to the Fisher Colloquium, the Fisher Hall, which is one flight up, for a brief celebration and the ability to chat informally and to congratulate each of the winners and thank their families for everything that they have done for diplomacy and for the country. So, see you later.